Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. A blooper, just lost my earpiece straight away there. I'm joined by Ross tonight. Ross, how you doing, pal?
Yeah, good mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Good day in relation to the World Cup. We are going to be talking about £150 million transfer dilemma for Manchester United. £150 million being the figure that many people think that Manchester United have now got left to spend after the purchases of Fred and Dalot. So how do you spend that £150 million? Want to talk about that. A few contentious issues as well. A lot going around on social media about Luke Shaw, Jesse Lingard and a couple of other things that I'm sure we would like to get our teeth into. But we've only just gone live straight after the World Cup. It's James Rodriguez with 3 assists. Just to be a little bit topical, Ross, I've always been a big fan of James Rodriguez. Would you take him at Manchester United? I saw somebody on Twitter answering our tweet earlier saying, we don't need Rodriguez, we've got Pogba and Fred.
No, I think we definitely need him. And he's also a player that potentially is available. I think he went on loan to Bayern Munich, didn't he? So he's potentially available. Hearing a lot of rumours about Juan Mata as well. So I think if that does happen, then James Rodriguez slots straight into our team for me.
He was fantastic. If anyone didn't see Colombia tonight, he is the wonder of the left foot. This is where the word wonder of the left foot comes from me. That is the man. I've never seen anybody have that foot. And you know, we talk about Perisic, we talk about the ability to put a cross into the box. You know, that is what he brings to the team. I think Bayern Munich would be stupid to let him go. It's a 2-year loan at Bayern Munich and they've got an option to buy then. The only reason Rodriguez was coming up as a possibility is because Bayern Munich have got a new manager who maybe doesn't want Rodriguez, who would send him back to Real Madrid, who don't need him, and then he becomes available. But a bit like Ronaldo the other night for Portugal. If you're Real Madrid, why would you let Ronaldo go? If you're Bayern Munich, you might want to change your plans and keep him. But let's get into this then. £150 million is what we believe that Manchester United probably have left to spend, Ross. I mean, left back, let's start off with that. I mean, I could easily say, what would you do with that £150 million? And I'm sure you've got an idea. But left back, is that somewhere that we should be prioritising this summer in your mind? Or is that something we can get by with Young and Shaw and maybe Dalot as well?
I've changed my mind. Start of the summer, I said yes. I think now, look, I'm probably blind in this, but I've still got this underlying hope that Luke Shaw makes it at Manchester United. A lot of pictures going around today of him looking overweight, whatever. That's Luke Shaw, but I just think he's fantastic, got fantastic footballing ability, and I'm happy with actually young Luke Shaw left back, providing that Luke Shaw gets more football than he did last season. It was 2-1 way, and I think that was poorly managed. If Luke Shaw gets more game time, I'll be happy with our left-back situation. Let's not forget as well, we've got an abundance of left-backs in the academy. Now, I don't think we're short in that position at all. I just think it's been managed wrong. Managed right, I don't think we should really be in the market for a left-back. I think we've got plenty in the squad, to be honest.
Let us know in the live comments. Paul Robinson's come out with a good point straight away. He says 150 million is just not enough, but there will be more. There won't be any more than that. That is going to be a topic to discuss, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But let us know about the left-back situation. Ross feels that maybe we don't need left-back, and he's changed his opinion from the start of the summer, which I think some fans have. Talking about Luke Shaw there, though, I was appalled yesterday. I actually got hold of the United Stand Twitter account to say it, that some of the pictures going around on Twitter and some United fans, who I like and respect, saying, get this fat boy out of our club, it's a disgrace. A month away from the start of the season, he looks like that. And I'm like, if that was a woman, you'd be getting shut down. That account would be shut down for being sexist. We live in this society where people are, a lot of celebrities are taking their lives for whatever reason, and you are having a go at somebody for how they look. I mean, Jan Molby carried a lot of weight. John Barnes carried a lot of weight. I've grown up with watching footballers who carry a lot of weight. It doesn't mean they're not good footballers. Luke Shaw is in his early 20s, but he's always been quite bulky. It doesn't mean that's not. I mean, I don't know. What were your thoughts about that? I think in the modern society, it's wrong to be having a go at somebody because of how they look anyway.
I literally read nothing into people's weight, how they look. It's how you play. Couldn't give two tosses, to be honest. I mean, the fat Ronaldo. Called the fat Ronaldo for a reason. I know he was obviously a lot trimmer, but he carried weight, and he's probably one of the best footballers we've ever seen. It means nothing. So I read absolutely nothing into that.
Mike Rollins says, stop with the PC crap. Look, mate, it's not PC crap, is it? It's not PC crap. Can you walk down the street tomorrow and say, all right, mate, you've got a fat arse. No, you can't. You're probably going to get a slap round the mouth, or they might do something about it legally. But I just think, oh, come on. I mean, we all support the same club. Are we now getting rid of people because they look a little bit overweight on holiday? I mean, come on. Judge him on his football ability. And I actually think in relation to Luke Shaw, Ross, and everybody at home, that Luke Shaw last season, I think there's some people who want him to do well. Obviously you do. And there's some people who just don't want him to do well. And it should just come down to ability, because I remember at the start of last season, you had the people who want him to do well and your people who don't want him to do well. And it was like, he can't stay fit. Well, he stayed fit for a whole season. Oh, when he gets given a chance, he's not that good. Well, when he was given a chance, he was quite good. So good that Jose said he was one of the best left-backs in the world, then dropped him the next day. So from a Luke Shaw perspective, I think that for me, I would sign a left-back, because I just don't see a situation which I would like to see, which is Luke Shaw being given a run of games at left-back, because I think he'll always be understudy to Ashley Young. And if Ashley Young's our left-back, I would say right now we can't win the league.
Yeah. Like I said, I just think it was poorly managed last season. The issue for me is when Ashley Young was at left-back, it was some other no-hoper like a Darmian or a Daley Blind. I mean, it was terribly managed last season. And look, I'm happy with what it is now, as long as Luke Shaw gets more game time, I'm happy with Ashley Young as a starting left back. A lot of people aren't. You know, I'd rather see, if it is 150 million, I would rather see that spent elsewhere. I just want to see a bit more of Luke Shaw, to be honest. Yeah.
Lynn Hall says, I'm surprised Jose signed his new contract if he's only got 150 million more to spend. He knows we need much more than that. Thought he'd pressured the board into spending more. The trouble is, Lynn, if 150 million's what left and he's already spent 70, 200 million's a lot of money. I mean, I know United are rich, but you look at the bottom line in relation to our financial forecasts and profits, we haven't got 500 million to just chuck at it. We've got big debt. So 200 million is probably quite a lot of money, and 150 million is probably what we've got left, including sales, and that could include the likes of Mata, Darmian, Blind, maybe even Martial going. So you don't want a left back, Ross. Let's move on to centre back. Is that something? I mean, I was on about this last night. I said Lindelof and Bailly are Jose signings. Play them. I mean, but do you feel we do need another centre back, and what would you be looking at?
It's a really tough one. I think if I was Jose, I'd be looking at one. Yes. Basically, based on Bailly's injury record, you can't rely on him. Absolutely can't. Smalling Jones, probably Smalling you can. Lindelof, yeah, I'd like to see a bit more of him next season. But I just think we need that rock at centre back. I like the thought of Alderweireld, but the injury proneness does put me off. I like a Koulibaly, to be honest, someone like that. But yeah, I would go for a centre back. But again, it's all about money. I mean, again, I'd rather see money spent elsewhere. If a centre back like Alderweireld come up relatively cheap, I'd probably push the button on it. But I wouldn't pay 75 million for him. I absolutely wouldn't. So, and I think we've got enough in that position to hold off. And you know, we're not the same team as we were 3 years ago, where we were desperate for players. I mean, we would pay any money for anyone. I think we can actually be a little bit more cute in the transfer market, which is nice.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the centre-back position for me, I'm not 100% sure that we do need it, a bit like you said with the left-back. But Manchester Skulls 18 says we've got 200 to 220 million pounds max to spend this summer, and that will include what we've spent already, which would be around 150. So Kevin says we don't need a left-back or a centre-back, and Shaw is not taking it seriously, says Salesh. He should be working hard to prove Jose wrong. I mean, that's your opinion, Salesh, but who are you to say he's not working properly? That's his body. That's what he looks like. You can't look at a picture and say he's not trying properly. One, he's on holiday, which he's allowed to do in the middle of June. And two, that's what he looks like. And he's played well playing like that. I think it's just wrong to judge somebody on how they look. It really is wrong. And it's not acceptable in my mind to do that. Let me just talk about something before we move on to the midfield area. I got a lot of pelters in the comments last night because I'm a hypocrite apparently, because I had a go at Boateng last night and I'd previously said you can't judge people in the World Cup. Now I don't know whether I'd said something last night that made people think I was judging him on the World Cup games, because I thought I made it quite clear that I don't rate Boateng because he's slow. I don't rate Boateng because he turns like a bloody hippo stuck in porridge. That's why I don't rate Boateng. And I think in the Premier League, he'd get annihilated. Gary Neville and Roy Keane said exactly the same. I watched it back this morning. But I wasn't. Yeah, he's had a bad World Cup, but I don't rate Boateng in general. I think in the Premier League he would be found out. I'm not judging him on one game. I do watch a lot of football, as people on That's Football will testify. I'm judging Boateng on what I think Boateng in the Premier League would be like. And just on that, Ross, I mean, I don't know what you think about Boateng as a centre-back option, but it is interesting, this World Cup thing, isn't it? Because I did want to talk about Jesse Lingard. We were talking about him before. What a goal that was, and what a performance it was by England. But that goal was the standout goal from 6 from Lingard. But I did say before the tournament that I thought Lingard would have a good tournament. But to me, that doesn't mean we can win the title with Jesse Lingard as a starter. I think it just shows to me that Lingard, defies logic many a times. Many people have written him off, and he just keeps coming back. He's so persistent, and he's a local lad as well, which is great. I just think that whatever he does in this World Cup, or whatever any player does, it's what they do in the Premier League and the Champions League. The World Cup's a bit of a bubble.
It is, yeah. I mean, definitely going back to Boateng defensively. I mean, I get your point. Don't judge a performance on the World Cup. If you're having a shocker defensively in the World Cup, I can't see how you turn that round for league form. To be honest, strikers.
Well, if you're slow in the World Cup, you're slow in the. I think it's more if somebody does well in the World Cup, isn't it? Take it with a pinch of salt. But if they do bad,
if you pants in the World, he's spot on. If you pants in the World Cup, it's not going to get much better back home. So Boateng, well clear. But Jesse Lingard, I was so proud of him today. I mean, for me, I think United stand account tweeted it out. Goal of the tournament. And he's announced himself on the world stage, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And look, let's not get carried away with ourselves. Still a squad player for United, and I want him to be that. Very good squad player, though, and quality performance today from old Jay Lings.
I'll tell you what made me laugh about that is because we are United, and the United stand is very much about opinion, and Lingard at times has had a few pelters from me, which is fine because it's all about opinion. But what I liked about today is I like you, was ridiculously proud. I mean, in my head, he's a United player, he's not going anywhere. I think he's better off the bench because he's got great runs and he's an impact player. But I was immensely proud. And what made me proud even more is, some United fans aren't convinced Lingard's his first teamer. I think everyone is convinced he's a very important squad player. But there's a lot of Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, Man City fans who really think he's crap. And for him to turn up and do that for England when you've got Sterling doing sod all and scoring a great goal for England, I just know some Arsenal fans who can't stand Lingard, and it was like, yeah, have some of that. And he is representing us, so I was really proud.
Yeah, and if Lionel Messi put in that performance, we'd be talking about it for years to come. I mean, not just the goal. I thought his overall performance was really good. He obviously won us the penalty, which I thought was dubious. But again, like you just said, mate, proud. Really was proud. A United man flying the flag for us today, and he was absolutely immense. And onwards and upwards for Jesse Lingard, to be honest. This could be the tournament that sort of maps his career out, to be honest.
I predicted he'd have a good one. And a lot of people are saying now, I mean, how much is Lingard worth? Not that we're going to sell him. MMA News says 80 million. So I've seen 150 million there. I mean, we're not selling him, but actually that's quite an interesting point. If he was for sale, he probably is. And people might go mad about this. He probably is worth about 80 million. What he's done in the last season. I think as United fans, we see both sides of the coin of Lingard. But for an outsider, he scored some great goals. He's just done it in the World Cup. As Darth Vader said, he sort of ran the show today. He probably is worth about 80 million, to be fair. So, yeah, very, very proud of him, and hope. Rashford needs to play. Rashford needs to play. I thought Sterling was crap. But talking about United players in general in the World Cup, and we are talking about this 150 million budget, and we're going to talk midfielders in a minute, but I want everyone's opinion on this as well. We've spoken about this a bit, Ross, since Christmas time, because I think it was Christmas time that it came out that it's very hard. I can't find these stats anywhere now. None of the stats websites show it up as distance covered as a stat that you can look at. But there was an article that came out in January that had Manchester United bottom of the league for distance covered. Bottom of the league, below Hull, not Hull, Burnley, anybody. Bottom of the league, Stoke, everybody. Which shows we're not a pressing team, and we've covered less distance than everybody. And then in the World Cup, we've got people like Lingard, Rashford, Lukaku, a lot of United players performing really well. In a funny sort of way, it's probably because they're fresher than everybody else.
Yeah, that was do you know what? I think again it was United stand account that tweeted it out saying that I wonder why all Jose's players are sort of flourishing when they're not playing for him, and it was a worrying thought actually, thinking all these guys are going off to the World Cup doing madness, and then they're all going to come back to United and hopefully not, but play that one-dimensional football again. So I think a lot of that stats is down to the football. I think the way we're set up to play, you're not going to move about when you're very one-dimensional in your positioning and your passing play and your defensive play. It's got to change for me next year. I want to see more. We've brought Fred in. This is going to be the big telltale sign for me. We've brought Fred in because he is an absolute midfield machine and he covers distance. Now, I want to see that carry on. I don't want to see United turn Fred into the same player that we already have. I want to see Fred turn the squad into a more of an active team because even when teams are trying to shut you out, if you cover the distance, if you make the runs, make the movement, you'll open up spaces. And I think Jesse Lingard flies a flag for that, to be honest.
Yeah, don't have a catchy name yet, says Lingard is a great finisher. Tell you what, if Messi'd scored that goal today, they would have been all over it. He picked it up, he played a 1-2 and put it in the top corner. It was a brilliant, brilliant goal and he deserves all the credit he's getting. Radu Rosa says, you've always talked about James Mark and now I see why. The guy was great. Can we sign him? I'd love us to sign him, but I don't know. But picking up on what Ross was saying there, I mean, if anyone watched Belgium yesterday or the other day for Lukaku, I mean, you talked about the style of play there. We know what happened last season and we do need to sort of park it till August and see if there is a change. But maybe our United players are a bit fresh because the style of football we played last year. But look at what you get from Lukaku when you play quick balls. I mean, he was literally getting so many one-on-ones yesterday, and he doesn't get that in a United shirt, and he still managed to get 27 goals. I look at Gareth Southgate as well. I mean, Gareth Southgate was a crap Premier League manager at Middlesbrough, really poor. And he's reinvented himself and England with a style of play it's very much modelled on a bit like what Pep does, but he's got a system and it's a front foot system. And I think we spoke about this before, haven't we? Jose's got to move away from this thing that's been very successful for him for many years, but is now, if he looks around the world of football, it's dead. You said at the start of the season that everyone's on about Man City, but actually the quality of defence is crap in the Premier League. And if we want to win the title, yeah, we can spend money, but is it wrong? Is it right or wrong to say that we've got to go on the front foot? It's the way of the world at the moment. You've got to go on the front foot. Look at Poland tonight. They tried to play compact and defensive, and it was dull and boring. You've got to go on the front foot in the modern game, and United need to do that.
Absolutely. Because I think, as it always does, coaching changes. Coaches come in and out of football. It's very rare for one coach to dominate over a long period of time. But some coaches, the real true greats, manage to adapt. And Sir Alex Ferguson was a spot-on case for that. Jose's in this definitive period now where the game has changed and his style of football doesn't work. And I think we can all see that. Can he change it? And I want him to change it. I still want Jose as a coach. I just think he's got to change because the game changed around him. So hopefully he can identify that, not be stubborn, not try and do his same. I won it with Porto 20 years ago. I can win it again. That doesn't work, Jose. You need to change. You need to adapt. And I hope we can do that because we've got the personnel. We really do. Like you say, Lukaku yesterday. Sorry, the personnel is there. We just need someone to just string it all together.
Definitely. I'm just going to mention Falcao very quickly because somebody in the live comments says, can you please mention Falcao? Why did he flop at United? You give Falcao one-on-one, he'll score. But he damaged his knee very badly before we signed him and he lost a yard of pace. And if he still had that yard of pace, he'd still be the best number 9 in the world. But he lost that yard of pace and he isn't anymore. And that's as simple as it gets, really. Toby the Greatest says, Jose will forever park the bus and... Yeah, okay. So, I was just seeing if there's a few more people mentioning Jose because over the last few months we've had this is the one I wanted. Angelo Klassen says Jose won't change. He didn't change at Madrid. And I suppose that's the fear, Ross, is that we all know he's got to change. And if he doesn't change, he's gone. I mean, Paul Robinson says the World Cup is showing that Pep football is in and Jose is out. Football has changed. Mourinho never will. There are a lot of United fans who feel that the evidence is there that he won't change. If he doesn't change, can that style of football win a Premier League title?
It can, but I just think what Pep Guardiola, I hate the guy, but I think he did do something last season, and he did it and he played attractive football, and that's what United strive to do. It's whether United fans would be happy with it. To be honest, I see next season going one. It's literally two ways for me. I don't think there's any in between. I think we're either going to really kick on and really improve under Jose, and I really do believe that can happen, or I think he's gone by Christmas. And I don't really see any in between, to be honest.
I mean, I don't think you can win the title with that anymore, because the reason is, and I've said this about Mourinho, he compartmentalises a season. He'll look at the season and he'll count the points up. So when we're away to Newcastle, he'll go 3 points. When we're away to Liverpool, he'll go, I'll get a point. And he'll do it like that. And any other season or any other era in the Premier League, he's probably looking at getting around 90 points, and that wins you a Premier League. But what we've seen with Man City and a little bit with Liverpool is they ain't playing for draws anywhere. They're going for wins. And if you have a season like City where they're getting nearly 100 points or whatever they got, Mourinho can't do his grind out results and defend his way. And on top of that, yeah, he might be able to beat Man City with his way of playing, but you need a few other clubs in the league that can beat them that way. And as Ross said before, that many months ago, the defenses in the Premier League are not as good as they have been. So I think the only way to do it now is you pretty much got to win every game. And Mourinho's style of football is not necessarily to win every game. He will want to win most games, but when he's off to Anfield or when he's off to the Etihad, although we did win there, in his mind, because of how he plays football, he'll be thinking, if we don't, it's a good point here, that will go to my tally. But that tally's almost been knocked up by 10 points because of what Man City did. And I look at Man City's start to the season, and I think they'll have 7 wins again. I think they'll just blitz it at the start, because the start of the season isn't particularly difficult. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. So midfield, we've spoken about left back and centre back. We're talking about this 150 million. Midfield, we've got Fred. We've still got Fellaini. How do you think that's going to end? And do you think we do need another midfielder?
Well, I was going to come on to that. I think we should literally, the whole £150 million would go on a Fellaini contract and just be done with it, to be honest. But no, to be truthful, I think we need to get rid of Fellaini. Hopefully it happens. I'm sure you're counting down the days on the calendar, Mark, for when that contract
I actually think he's
going
to stay. Maybe it's reverse psychology, but I don't understand how he goes into a World Cup without his future sorted out. If he gets his knee knackered up, he's staying at United, isn't he? So to me, I think he's staying. I can't understand. If he was going somewhere else, surely you sort your future out before you start playing football matches 2 weeks before the end of your contract runs out.
Yeah, well, I'm the other way. I don't think he's staying. I don't think we would have let it go this long, to be honest, because it's a little bit of a circus. But we need another midfielder. Look, for me, if he stays or goes, we replace him, right? So we need another midfielder in there. Fred's great, really happy with that. I just would like someone else. And that seems like I'm trashing on Dominic a little bit, but I just don't think he's ready. So yeah, I would go out and sign another one. But then, do you know what? Actually, just top of my head, I keep forgetting that Pereira's coming back. Whether he stays or not, I don't know. But I would like to at least see him given a chance, because you just don't know how players are going to perform. He's never really played Premier League football. Again, no middle ground. He'll either flop or he'll be a world beater. So I'd like to see it.
Please do drop a like on the video, everyone. Lots of people are Sunday Night Live with Ross and everyone in the live comments. Please do drop a like on the video. Really appreciate that. Let's see if we can get to 500 likes while we're live. Just a couple of things to update you on, actually. Just live sort of updates on transfers, because we're talking about midfield. So there's a lot of people talking about Toni Kroos to Manchester United. Ross, your thoughts on that? I mean, can we do any business with Real Madrid? This was spoken about last year, and it's like we continually get linked to Real Madrid players, but we couldn't get Morata out of there last year, and obviously the De Gea thing. Whether you can get Kroos or not, do you think we could actually ever do any business with Real Madrid?
Real Madrid, we probably could, but we'll be spending fortunes. Toni Kroos, I'm sort of split on, to be honest, because 4 years ago, I'd have bitten your hand off for him and literally thrown an open checkbook. I just got this. We're always linked to players which I believe are either coming to the end of their prime or their best days are really behind them. And I want us to get out of that. That's why I like Fred. we haven't seen the best of Fred yet. I mean, and that's the United signing for me. It's a player that with bags of potential, which United get the absolute best out of before flogging him. And it seems like we've been linked with, I don't think we've purchased lately, but we've been linked with a lot of Madrid players, which, look, there's a reason why they'll get rid of them. And there's a reason why Madrid would probably get rid of a Toni Kroos about now, because, yeah, he's probably got 2 seasons in him of top quality football. Then he's declining, and Madrid, if not, they always get their money back or make profit.
Devil's Ace says Kroos without Modric by side looks bang average, and thanks for that comment, Joshua. And why would Kroos leave the best team in the world for a part of the bus team? Says Daniel Sorin. I mean, you might be trying to banter us a bit, but actually, you might be true. But no, I look at Kroos and I do feel that he's starting to roll towards the end of his career. He's still 28, I think, so he's still got a few years left. But to come into the Premier League at 28 and how quick it is, I don't think why would he leave Real Madrid? And also, why would we do business with Real Madrid when they would want our goalkeeper or maybe even our number 9? So I don't think so. Kovacic, we spoke about him yesterday. There's been a development with that. Now, Kovacic has said he wants to leave Real Madrid. He's a player I would like because he's a bit younger and he's hungry. But he did have a release clause of £45 million, which we spoke about yesterday. However, Marca today is saying that release clause was actually updated over the last season and it's now €300 million release clause. So that again becomes a situation with you'd have to deal with Real Madrid and we wouldn't be getting him for 45 million. You'd probably be having to spend 80 to 100, which is what the same as Milinkovic-Savic is. But I mean, I don't know what everyone else at home thinks, but I do think we need a midfielder, Ross. But for me, it's like, I want Milinkovic-Savic. That's looking unlikely. I don't think you'd get anyone from Real Madrid. Verratti's been mentioned, but I think height-wise, Mourinho wouldn't want 2 small midfielders because Fred's small. And then you're like, well, who else is there? But I do think we do need another midfielder.
Yeah, another midfielder, but not Kovacic. I'd stay well clear of him because he may play well for his country, but for Real Madrid, I've never really seen him have a good game. Yet again, it's another player that's deemed not good enough for Real Madrid. So why the hell are we in for him? You know, if you're not good enough for Real Madrid, you go lower than Man United. For me, Milinkovic-Savic is what we should be signing, and that's a player who was peaked at his club and is looking for a new challenge, just like Romelu Lukaku. That's the midfielder that I want to go for. Fred, prime example. Shakhtar Donetsk peaked at it. Now he's making the step up. I don't want players that are just not good enough to play for a club, so all of a sudden we're in for him. So Kovacic for me is a no-hoper.
But Milinkovic-Savic did have a bad game in the World Cup on Friday.
That's World Cup though, mate. We don't count it, do we?
No. A lot of people did. The amount of people on the Friday night show were saying, I don't want him. I've watched him tonight. I don't like him. And I'm going, yeah, he's playing out of position. And for some reason, he looks half the speed he normally does. I don't know what was wrong with Serbia the other night. But I would take Milinkovic-Savic. I really would. I really would like him. But, I mean, beyond that, I don't know whether you've got any ideas for that midfield. Because I think if Fred replaces retiring Carrick and Fellaini goes, you replace Fellaini. But I felt last season that midfield was the big problem for United and the depth wasn't there. And Matic ended up playing a lot of games, didn't he? And he needed a rest. So I think we do need to bring another midfielder in. And I know we've been linked to this young lad from Lyon, Ndombele. And I quite like the look of him. I've not seen much of him. In fact, I can be honest and say I've not watched him play at all. But I like the sound of him, you know, quick, tenacious, good on the ball, hungry, young player. I like the look of that, but we do need somebody to come in, definitely in that midfield area to give us something else.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm open-minded, to be honest. I don't really, I can't really link us to a player, or I can actually think off the top of my head the perfect player to fit in, but we almost need a Matic replacement soon as well, because he's not got long left in him, bless him. Love him. But, yeah, we need to just get some players in. And like I say, we want young, hungry players peaking at their clubs, making a step up. Exactly the Lukaku mould for me. I thought that worked perfectly last season. And this season, I'm expecting huge thing from Romelu, as long as he gets a service. Jay
Osborne's going for the most unpopular comment of the night award. He says Fellaini is not going. And Alion says James over Link. Look, if James Rodriguez is available, you go and get him. I've been saying this for 3 years, and tonight didn't surprise me. And tonight's the World Cup, so I'm not judging him on that. But he has got a wonderful, wonderful wand of a left foot. Harry Potter on the end of his foot. He's brilliant, and I'd love him at United, but it'd be very, very difficult to do it. We had an opportunity to get him last summer, and for some reason we didn't go in for him, and that's why I don't think we'll ever get him, because Mourinho's got the same agent as him, and he was free last summer, and we didn't go for him. So he's clearly not what Mourinho wants. But if you want somebody who can put a cross in from anywhere and is creative, I think you could play Rodriguez, Pogba, Matic, Fred, Pogba, Matic, Fred, Pogba, Rodriguez. You could put Rodriguez to the left or the right. He could play off the right. You could have Martial on the left or Sanchez and Lukaku up front. There's so many positions he could play for. He'd be absolutely brilliant. But for some reason, we seem to have not be interested in him. And you know, that's the way it is. But I would absolutely love him. And it's nothing to do with tonight. I did a video 2 weeks ago. Spoke about him many a times last summer. He's a brilliant player, and I think he'd be great for us. Bio20 says Jose needs to realise Sanchez is a right winger. Perfect. We moved into that perfectly, Ross. So we've spoken about midfielders. We've spoken about centre-back. We've spoken about left-back. You think we need a centre-back and a midfielder. What about, a lot of fans are talking about a right midfielder. Do you think we need that? And who would you be looking at?
I honestly think we need another winger, another flair player. I think that we've got a lot of talent in them positions, but you know, a lot of them don't know where they play or they don't know what they're doing. Again, I put that down to poor management. But I would like to sign a right winger. I really would. But again, I mean, I sound like an absolute amateur, but I haven't got any real person that I'm earmarking. It's not Gareth Bale for me. I know who I wouldn't have in that position more than who I would. But
well, Willian gets mentioned a lot.
No, yeah, not him. Not him. No, absolutely not. Again, a player that's not good enough for Chelsea. I mean, come on. So yeah, I mean,
30 years of age as well.
I'm looking at the scouts. I'm looking at United. Tell me who we should sign. I mean, just stop getting linked to all these 30-year-olds. It does wind me up. And Gareth Bale, I really don't want at United. I think I'm a minority there, but I just don't want him. But I do think we need another flair player. I think Martial, Sanchez, Rashford. I think we need more than that. Lingard for me is not a winger.
Yeah, I mean, the Bale thing's interesting because if you went for Bale, you'd probably blow in 100 million on that, and he's a player who wants to stay at Real Madrid. Willian, I think Douglas Costa's better, but he's gone to Juventus, and Wengy's just said Douglas Costa, and funnily enough, he went on for him yesterday, didn't he? The other day, Friday night. So Lozano is a player we won't get. Sadiq, nothing to do with the World Cup. I've been on about Lozano since last summer as well. He's a really good player. He's a client of Mino Raiola. He's exactly the sort of player we should sign. But again, we've missed the boat on that. We were linked to him last summer. We were linked to him 2 years ago, actually. And we missed the boat. And now it'll be Barcelona who sweep in and get him because we missed the boat on that. But I'd like Lozano. I'd still like Perisic. I mean, I know he's touching 30, but his work rate and his ability to put a cross into the box, I wish we'd got that deal done last summer. I really do. But just Ronaldo, Ross. It's far-fetched, of course it is. Even I would say I'd never believe it till he's holding the shirt up. But I don't think Ronaldo would fit into the 150 million budget. I think the Ronaldo would be, he is a superstar. He's going to bring so much money into the club. Let's go into the special fund and fund a Ronaldo move. I mean, he's got like 3 times the Twitter followers of United and all that lot. I mean, what he brings to United, he would make back instantly. But it's a big step forward to say that he would leave. But is that beyond the £150 million? Would you bring him to United? Because there are some people who wouldn't have him anyway.
Oh, mate, if I was Jose or Woodward, you'd bring him. You'd absolutely bring him. No expense spared. You get it all back anyway on, your media and all that. I think it would be a perfect signing. But look, I'm a little bit of a Ronaldo fan, and it's not because he played for United. I just genuinely like watching greatness. I really do. For him, if I was a Ronaldo advisor, I'd say stay well clear of Manchester United because what he's done at Madrid, he's defied all the records. He's been immense. And I believe if he come back to United, it'd be tarnished a little bit because he would never be able to achieve their numbers in the Man United shirt. One, because of the way we play. Two, because of the Premier League. He needs to go to PSG because he'd be the only one, because Neymar can't do it, to fire them towards nearly Champions League greatness, and he'd break all the records out in France. Then he'd move his career to America, and I just see that as the natural path of Cristiano Ronaldo, the great man that he is. If he comes to United, it would just be such a backward step in his career, and that sounds awful to say as a United fan. It'd be a real backward step, and he should stay clear.
Andrew Rossi says, no way you turn down Ronaldo. I mean, look, I'm watching Ronaldo through this World Cup. I'm watching as much as I can of him because he won't be around forever, and he's one of the greats. He's one of the greats. I'd take him at 35 now. I know I didn't used to say that, but he's the quickest player in the World Cup, I think, measured. This talk of decline is ridiculous. He's an absolute beast, and he's so motivated. But as Ross says there, I think I would take him selfishly, and I think the fans would love him. But I think the way we play, he wouldn't get the goals he wants because Lukaku doesn't get the chances that he gets. Half the chances Harry Kane gets with Spurs. He's living off scraps, and I don't think it'd be long before we saw Ronaldo smacking his hands down on his hips, frustrated. And I wouldn't want that to happen. I wouldn't want to see Ronaldo frustrated at United. I'd want him to see happy. I think PSG would be where. I think he might leave Real Madrid, but I think PSG would be the right place because he can still win the Ballon d'Or. He can stat pad to his, absolute heart's content. But yeah, I'd certainly take him. Salish says, "Well, we've got a striker in Ronaldo in Lukaku. Look, you drop Lukaku for Ronaldo. I'm sorry, you do. He's better than him. But Ronaldo wouldn't probably play up as the number 9. I mean, he plays off Benzema at Real Madrid. He does all the hard work, and Ronaldo plays off the side. But you'd find a way. I just don't think United can do it. Anyway, let's take a few comments from people in the live comments. £150 million. I mean, actually, that's a good question. Let's go back to what Paul asked at the start, Ross. 150 million quid. How much do you get for 150 million quid? Can you get a centre-back, a left-back, a midfielder and a right midfielder? No. Can you get a right midfielder and a centre-back? I don't know. Can you get a midfielder and a right midfielder with 150 million pounds? Is it actually enough? Was it ever enough? Could we, going into the start of this summer, people were like, we need a left-back, a centre-back, a midfielder, a right midfielder, and maybe a backup striker, which we've not even mentioned yet. I mean, going into the summer, do you feel it was a bit of an unachievable quest? There's too many holes per se to solve in this summer for Mourinho.
There is, and don't want to sound too negative about Jose, but I believe some of the holes have been created by himself. Because, like I said earlier, with the left back situation, we probably were in for a left back, but I think it's because of his Luke Shaw mismanagement, which is why he's done that. It's a massive ask. I mean, you could blow that 150 million quid on one player, Savage, and would probably all be pretty satisfied with that, to be honest, if it happened, but it won't. So, yeah, I just think that £150 million will go on one marquee signing. I can see, look, we started off well, all guns blazing in the transfer market. We do definitely need a backup striker for Lukaku. If I was the CEO of United, I'd say to Jose, use the youth more, integrate this squad better, because you need to do it better, and I'm going to give you one marquee signing there, to add to what you've already had. And I don't think Jose can grumble with that. I think, again, Woodward's kind of delivering what United need. It's whether Jose can piece them puzzle pieces together and make it work.
You're spot on, really, because actually I was thinking about this morning. When you look at what Manchester United have done in the transfer market, I think Lukaku's been a very good success, but let's see what happens in the second year, because it's all about the second year, I think, with Jose. If you look at Pogba, I mean, has he been a success? Not yet. Mkhitaryan's already gone. Zlatan, unfortunately, because of injury, he's gone. Bailly, a terrible second season because of injury. And then you look at last summer, Lindelof, not used him enough. Matic, a success, but he exhausted him. And I think Matic in the second half of the season was up and down because he was exhausted. And Lukaku's been a success. So of all the money Jose's had, I think a year ago we would have been saying, well, Zlatan was a good signing, Pogba's doing okay, Mkhitaryan, second season hopefully will be better, and Bailly had a good season. A year later, all of those aren't particularly great signings. But this is why I say the board should be saying you're not having a centre back. You've bought 2 centre backs, use them. And I think you're right, Ross. There, I think you are right. It's all right. People saying we need another 300 million, and maybe we do. I mean, I think a left back's needed, another midfielder's needed, a right midfielder's needed, a backup striker's needed, a centre back's needed, but we're not getting all of that. And as Gabriel Akaki says, we need at least 300 million just to get close to City, and I think that's right. I don't like saying we need to spend 300 million, but we do, but we're not. And there is a bit of a reality bite there. I think he's got a number of holes. Some of them he's caused himself, and he's going to have to plug some of them holes and leave some holes there and see whether that ship can float.
To be honest, Mark, I can't help but compare United to England because it's my country, right? And I've watched United play so much, and watching England these last couple of days has been an absolute joy, and it's been watching 11 players know where they're playing. I know that sounds really simple, but every time I watch Pogba, I don't know where he's playing. I don't think neither he does. Sanchez doesn't know if he's a right winger, left winger, or a striker, or a number 10. I just think all these problems, you cannot send players out there with not a clear direction of what you've got to do, because that's simple. And England have been fantastic in these last 2 games. I mean, even Jordan Henderson's looking half decent, knowing what he's doing. I mean, just think of what Southgate could do with Paul Pogba in his team. I mean, that's what it's come down to for me. So this needs to be sorted. Everyone needs their positions. You can get the best out of Pogba. He just needs to know what he's doing. I may sound negative, Jose, but I just think he's got to really shake this team up. He's got a busy summer ahead of him.
I think it's, a lot of people agreeing in the live comments, and it sounds ridiculous to say that Southgate could get better out of the United team than Mourinho, but I think Mourinho is struggling with an identity crisis where his style of play that's been very consistent. He's kept people like Rui Faria are gone now, and he's had him with him for years. He's kept the same coaching staff. He's kept the same style for years, and it's worked everywhere he's been. Wins the title in the first 2 years, and now he's got a problem because he's got fans of a club that won't accept the way he's trying to do it, and actually the way he's trying to do it won't work. And he's either got to change, or I hear a lot of people saying he could be gone by Christmas if he doesn't change. And I think that is the reality that Jose faces, and I think United fans are fully aware of it. I expect change. I think the McKenna change, the Carrick change, hopefully will be positive. I think Fred is a very un-Mourinho signing. But as Ross said there, if you've got a style of play, it doesn't matter how good the manager is, if you've got a style of play and you give players a job to do, and they play as a team, I think so many times last season we were like, what are we doing? We're moving the ball so slow. We're not pressing the ball. What are we doing? And I think that the problem is we were playing to a system that just doesn't work anymore. Jose Tutu says, get Ronaldo for 200 million, sack Mourinho and build a brand new team with what we got. Sell Fellaini, Darmian, Blind and bring some of our youth through. He does need to use a bit of the youth as well. I had a Ford Fiesta that works for 15 years. It stopped working, says Paul Robinson. Very, very, very good points. And I think it's all about the transfer window over the next few weeks, Ross, because Mourinho, we can talk about Mourinho, but until we kick off against Leicester and we've had a few games, we're not going to know about United. And we normally start the league at we started last season with 4-0 FC for 4 games. So even if it starts well, it's not going to be till about October time when we really know what's going on.
Do you know, it's the first fixture release, which I was desperate for United to get a tough team in the first game or two so we could really gauge where we're at, because we sort of get to this after 5 games fantasy land where we get 15 points. Seems to have happened a lot recently. Then we get a tough team and it all breaks down. So I wanted someone good early, and I don't know if we really got that this year. But it'll be classic United. We'll get a few names in. We'll destroy everyone in the pre-season, start off well. It's when we face these tough teams and tough times and we're really see the team. But I'm positive. I'm really positive. I'm going to United left the first game, and I fully expect us to destroy them, to be honest. But be interesting to see who's rested, though, because obviously some of the World Cup guys, if they do get to the last stages, I'm sure won't be making them first games.
Yeah, I think we'll start the league off very well. I think we have done that under Jose for 2 years. It's when it hit that first international break, we come back from that and we we seem to struggle, but we've got to get some good business done. Got to get some good business done, really. Thanks everybody for watching tonight, and please do drop a like on the video. We've nearly hit 500 likes, which is absolutely fantastic. Really, really good opinions as per usual. And thanks for coming on, Ross.
Cheers, Mark. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Not a problem at all. Remember, tomorrow morning at 7 a.m, Transfer Daily, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m, Transfer Daily's up there. Got some interesting news around the left-back situation and a potential loan for a Manchester United player, which might shock a few people. But that's 7 a.m. tomorrow. Get your comments in below if you're not watching live. Give us your thoughts on everything we've discussed. We've discussed absolutely loads, some really good topics. Really enjoy the Sunday night show. And remember, we're live at 9 o'clock every night at the moment because of the World Cup. We've moved back from the 8 o'clock to the 9 o'clock to avoid World Cup 7 o'clock games. So we're still live, it's just at 9 o'clock every night. Cheers everybody, really enjoyed it, whizzed by as per usual, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.